Hello students and welcome to today's class. Today we are going to discuss a very important aspect of the Stone Ages. This is the Mesolithic period. We have already done one lecture in the Mesolithic period. This is the second part of that lecture and we will be continuing some of the objectives in this today's lecture. After going through this lecture, you will be able to understand the different subsistence pattern and social complexities that were prevalent in the Mesolithic period. You will be able also to understand life of Mesolithic humans in European continent. You will be also able to understand the Mesolithic fauna in South Asia. And lastly, we will be also looking at the Mesolithic art in the European continent as well as in South Asia. First, we will be talking about the subsistence pattern and social complexities. Hunting, gathering and fishing were the primary economic activities of the Mesolithic period. Mesolithic humans lived in communities in temporary or permanent settlements near river banks. Star Car is an important Mesolithic site in England which dates back to approximately 9500 BP, which provides evidence that humans had domesticated or allied with dogs by this time. Although there were no significant differences between the Upper Paleolithic and the Mesolithic economies. According to one of the very important archaeologists whose name is Brian M. Fagan, he says that the Mesolithic was a period of profound economic and social changes which were characterized by intensified food collection techniques under erratic climatic situations. Adaptability to shifting environmental conditions was evident as early as the Upper Paleolithic period. During the Mesolithic period, its significance began now to increase. Predominant among the hunting techniques was the use of fresh weapons that were effective against fish and other marine creatures. According to another archaeologist whose name is Lewis Benford, he says that humans settled along river valleys during the Mesolithic period due to the abundance of the fish. Communities were able to become sedentary and accommodate population growth due to abundant water supplies. One more archaeologist whose name is Cleve Campbell, he says that on the other hand, he argues that the migration to river valleys was caused by an increase in population that led to a food storage, thus making aquatic resources the only option. David Yesner, he argues from a different perspective. He says that the best approach for the early humans was to utilize aquatic resources due to the environment, population pressure and the food storage. Dear students, now we will be turning towards looking at some of the very important features of the Mesolithic period which were prevalent in the European continent. The meaning of Mesolithic and the list of attributes which are associated with this time period, they vary widely from one place to another place. In the European context, the term Mesolithic has various meanings which are related to the changes in socio-economic, meaning broad spectrum resource usage, economic intensification and semi-sedentism. Second is the chronological, which means the early Holocenic, and third is the technological spheres including the microliths and other composite tools, etc. Some academicians have restricted the term Mesolithic to northern and western Europe when populations evolved to rely on forested resources for their subsistence, engaging in the activities of hunting, gathering, fishing and employing composite tools before the arrival of actual domestication of plants and even animals. According to this theory, societies that maintained a Paleolithic lifestyle were characterized by hunting large herbivores or whose tool traditions remained unchanged from the late Pleistocene to the Holocene, which are referred to as the Epipaleolithic, which is a term that Obermayr first proposed as a synonym for the Mesolithic period. Like the other main prehistoric periods, the Mesolithic is characterized by profound socio-economic and technological advances. Some academics claim that the name Mesolithic refers to a specific economy which is based on hunting, fishing and gathering that emerged due to post-glacial environmental changes such as afforestation. The development of material culture and the economy during the Mesolithic period includes widespread forest clearing and related practices. Mattocks, tree felling axes and elaborate seasonal resource tolling, the invention of the bow, dog domestication and exploitation using microlithic technology, advanced fishing equipments, including the earliest indications of nets and long-range trade networks, hooks and skids, as shown by the development of polished flint and Mediterranean obsidian. The percentage of arrowheads in Mesolithic sites are crucial, particularly in Tardenoisian assemblages, which is noticeably higher than the Magdalenian. This led to the assumption that during the Mesolithic phase, bow and arrow was employed for hunting. Regional differences may be seen in various components of the Mesolithic economy. Red deer and wild pigs became the main prey in the Pyrenees and many other parts of northern and western Europe, and there is evidence of specialized marine fishing at sites in both northern and southern Europe. A new scientific approach is being used more frequently to try to understand these intricate strategies. Plant foods were increasingly used in the Mesolithic economy. Scholars interpret the increased use of plant resources as a precursor to the imminent agricultural revolution, hypothesizing that a primitive form of animal husbandry emerged even during the Mesolithic period. In addition, they also highlight that the domestication of dogs, the growth of storage facilities and the semi-sedentism, as well as social advancements shown in the establishment of cemeteries in some areas and the rising use of grave goods. A larger degree of sedentism, mainly concentrated on fishing, was also made possible by the economic and technological advancements of the Mesolithic period. Differentiation of activities in both public and family spaces inside a settlement is more noticeable than before. Massive adaptations to the environmental changes at the end of the last ice age were seen during the Mesolithic period. People adapted to the new forested ecosystems as the tundra and vast animal herds of the Paleolithic era vanished. Hunting remained significant, but it moved to target deer and other woodland animals. As subsistence diversified, small game, fish, birds and plants became more important. The residence appears to have become essentially sedentary in some areas, including the Iron Gates region of the Danube, coastal Denmark and South Sweden. Art was widely used now, primarily as establishments on tools and personal items, and some materials were traded across great distances. Cemeteries in some affluent communities record a complex array of funeral rituals. As social distinctions grow more apparent, roles and status became much more complex. Interpersonal violence is well represented in some areas and indicates a social environment that was becoming more crowded and competitive. Now, apart from the European world, the Mesolithic remains were found in other parts of the planet, and among them, South Asia is one of the very important and the richest geographical regions from where we have the recovery of those Mesolithic remains. So, archaeologists have uncovered bones of both wild and domesticated animals from various Mesolithic sites in South Asia. However, there is considerable difference of opinion regarding animal species. For example, Bagor, which is located in Rajasthan, yields evidences about number of animals dated back to the Mesolithic period. P.K. Thomas, who studied the bones from the Bagor site, believes that only 15.7% of animal bones seems to belong to the domesticated series. The bones of wild boar and pig consist of 3.7%, buffalo 0.8%, gazelle and black buck 4.4%, spotted deer 4.8%, hare 0.6%, Indian grey mongoose 0.8% and Indian fox 0.5%. The description put forward by P.K. Thomas was challenged by D.R. Shah, who does not believe in such occurrence of domesticated species at Bagor. V. N. Mishra, who studied the Tilwar site of Rajasthan, he believes that the late Mesolithic level gave us evidences of wild goat, dog, pig, hog deer, spotted deer, mongoose and domesticated humble cattle. P.K. Thomas, who had earlier studied the bone remains of this site also, has however mentioned only goat and sheep as form of the domesticated animals. The archaeological site of Langnaj in Gujarat does not provide any evidence of domesticated animals. Rather, the bones of animals that were discovered during the excavation process at this site belong to the wild animals. The animals include canid, wild boar, rhinoceros, cheetal, hog deer, nilgai, black bucks and swamp deer. V. N. Mishra believes that there is a possibility that the climate of this region would have been arid. But this was criticized because of the presence of wild animals like rhinoceros and water buffalo who prefer large stretch of marshlands and grasslands. Loteshwar and Ratnapur are the two sites in Gujarat from where the bones of domesticated animals like goat, sheep and cattle had been found. Adamgarh in Madhya Pradesh, on the other hand, gave us evidence of both domesticated and wild animals. The domesticated animals included pig, sheep, cattle, hare, etc. Now coming to another important settlement which is known as Bhimbetka. It's located in the Madhya Pradesh and gives evidences of both wild and domesticated animals. An interesting thing about this site is the Mesolithic art, which has shown Indian hampered bull, often known as zebo, as well as the wild progenitor and Bos namadicus. Now coming to the graves settlement pattern and the subsistence in South Asia. Chattopadhyaya has tried to find a connection between the emergence of formal burials among hunter-gatherers and the settlement and subsistence pattern of Ganga Valley in the Mesolithic period. The study is based on the faunal remains and burials from three Mesolithic sites including Sarai Nahar Rai, Mahadaha and Damdama. On the basis of faunal and burial remains, he believes that the site of Sarai Nahar Rai was seasonally occupied. The people who were living in the Vindhyan stretches migrated to the Ganga Valley because of the scarcity of water and food. But the migration theory of Chattopadhyay was challenged on the grounds that various non-transportable grinding stones were found in Mahadaha and Damdama in the occupational deposits. The plant remains at Damdama suggested the availability of multiple edible plants from this area. Many bones of wild animals have been found here also, which indicates that wild animals were exploited for food. Mahadaha yielded evidence of hog deer and swamp deer, and Chattopadhyay analyzed the teeth remains of animals from Mahadaha and concluded that the site was occupied during summer and even winter. The graves from Sarai Nahar Rai, Mahadaha and Damdama have similar burial practices. The bodies were buried in shallow rectangular graves in an extended position. There were more male burials than females, and a few instances of child burials were also found at Mahadaha and Damdama. Archaeologists, on the basis of grave goods, suggested a sort of social hierarchy. A cemetery cum habitational site at Mahadaha gives evidence of 35 hearths which contain burnt clay, ashes and animal bones that seem to have been associated with some funeral practices. With regard to the orientation of burials, a large number of graves were broadly aligned to east-west direction. Anthropologists have found a close relationship between the designation of formal areas for the disposal of the dead and the existence of corporate group rights or critical resources. The Mesolithic burials found in Mahadaha suggest this sort of situation. According to Chattopadhyay, it is possible that competition and strife over these resources resulted from the Ganga Valley's expanding population during the Mesolithic period. This may have served as the catalyst for humans to form corporate groups, establish territorial claims through funeral customs, and use burial symbolism. So till now, we have been able to look at some of the very important features that were present in the Mesolithic period in the European subcontinent as well as the South Asian context. The second part of the lecture deals with the Mesolithic art which was prevalent in the European world. Then we will be focusing the art developments in the Mesolithic period in South Asia. Now first, looking at the Mesolithic art in Europe. During the Mesolithic period, humans depicted scenes from their daily lives through the creation of ceramics, which means pottery, engravings and cave paintings. The Mediterranean coast of Spain is home to a number of noteworthy Mesolithic rock art sites. The artwork, which comprises small painted figures of people and animals, is the most sophisticated and pervasive example. This collection contains the most significant quantity of such artwork found in Europe. In painted scenes, the humans are usually the primary theme. The most frequent depictions are of hunting, though there are also dancing, fighting and domestic animal scenes. Some paintings show honey collection, most notably at Caves de Arena en Biscop, which is in Spain. The painting, which is known as the Dancers of Kogul, is an important piece of static art that serves as both an illustration and a representation. This scenario, which is unique throughout the entire region, features 9 different ladies in different roles. The faces of some of the women have been painted red, while others have had black paint applied. They are seen dancing around a male figure that has a huge phallus, which is an unusual feature in the Paleolithic art, if not completely absent altogether. A dead deer or buck that has been pierced by an arrow may be seen among the animals that are depicted alongside people in the picture. The oldest Mesolithic art on the island of Great Britain is thought to be an engraved pendant made of shale that was discovered in the Starcard site, which is located in England, in the year 2015. Outside of Scandinavia, engraved jewelry from this era is relatively very uncommon. Archaeologists are currently examining the object to see if it was worn, despite the fact that the hole in the rock's upper angle suggests that it was. The engraved patterns resemble those on pendants discovered in Denmark, which raises the possibility of contact with those cultures or their migration to Britain, which needs further research to establish. Now we will be looking at the development of the Mesolithic rock art at a very important site which is known as Bhimbetka. In South Asia, the first rock painting in the whole subcontinent was discovered by A.C.L. Carlyle in the year 1867 and 68, who acted as assistant surveyor of the Archaeological Survey of India. These rock paintings were discovered in Shohagi Ghat in the Kaimur region of Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. From that time onwards, various cave sites have been discovered in other regions of South Asia in general and particularly in India. The total number of Mesolithic rock art sites in India is more than 150, but the most important and rich among them is Bhimbetka. The paintings at Bhimbetka constitute an important source for understanding the history of the Mesolithic humans in the Indian subcontinent. The cave site of Bhimbetka was first noticed by V.S. Vakankar, who noticed the caves from a train while travelling from Bhopal to Itarsi. This led to the discovery of the most magnificent rock art caves in the world, and a total number of 642 rock shelters have been discovered from Bhimbetka till date, and among these about 400 have paintings and engravings. The style, theme and the dilapidated condition of these art forms indicate that the paintings from these caves are very old. Archaeologists who have studied these rock art themes assign some paintings to the Mesolithic period. The Bhimbetka rock art was first studied by V.S. Vakankar and Yashodhar Mathpal in 1974. Then in 1983, some new insights about these rock arts were added by Erwin Neumayer. The paintings at Bhimbetka give a vivid description of the lives of people in the Mesolithic period. According to Mathpal, rock paintings can be divided into several sub-periods within the three primary phases. Mesolithic is represented by the first 5 sub-phases, transitional by the 6th and historical by the final 3. There are 16 distinct hues or tints, with white and light red being the most popular. The colors were created by grinding minerals, which were then combined with water or another substance like egg white, marrow or animal fat. The red was created using iron oxide, the white using limestone and the green perhaps using green chalcedony. Some paintings only use one color while others use multiple colors. Brushes had perhaps 2 big handles and the bristles were made of squirrel tail, fur or silk cotton. Like other Mesolithic rock art sites, animals predominate in the scenes at Bhimbetka. The artwork features 29 different types of animals, including the cheetah, which is the most prevalent, then leopard, tiger, panther, elephant, rhinoceros, antelope, deer and squirrel, etc. There are also several species of birds, fish, lizards, frogs, crabs, scorpions and tiny centipedes. The elephants, rhinoceros, lions, wild buffalo, gaur and blackbuck are not represented, despite the fact that many of these species still live in Bhimbetka hillsides. It is interesting to notice that neither this artwork nor any other Mesolithic art from India features any snakes. Many of the animal figures are incredibly lifelike, yet some are more abstract. Animals are occasionally depicted as outlines, other times their bodies are adorned with patterns. A handful of the paintings are done in inverted commas, but we can call the X-ray manner, displaying the internal organs of female animals, including a fetus in the womb. Aside from hunting sequences, animals also appear in softer, more empathetic scenes like those showing animals in pregnancy, a panther or tiger with his cubs, and a stag and cheetah chasing a fawn, grazing buffaloes, jumping rabbits, and leaping monkeys, etc. The sequences feature a lot of motion. There are other animals also, such as the well-known Bimbetka boar, which has a boar-like body but a rhinoceros-like head, an elephant-like underlip, and buffalo-like horns. The paintings in Bimbetka depict a segregation of labor based on gender. Women are depicted gathering and preparing food, such as grinding food on cairns, while men are portrayed hunting. People are shown gathering fruit and honey in various scenes. Several paintings show people dancing, while others reveal erotic scenes. Although the dancers are shown stumbling and lose their balance, but give a sense of rhythmic movement. The majority of prehistoric murals in Europe are typically found in remote, gloomy caves, but those in Indian rock shelters are typically visible in well-lit regions. However, it is most probable that the best paintings were not created in habitational areas that served as shelters. A lot of human participation and scaffolding would have been necessary for some of the large paintings on high surfaces. Such paintings and those that are constructed in layers imply a ritualistic meaning. So in conclusion, when we look at the beginnings of the Mesolithic age, this was one of the very important developments in the life of humans, and there was a transition from the hunting gathering stage of the humans to the domestication or the plantation or the beginnings of the agriculture, not only in the European context but in other parts of the world also. So in nutshell, we will say that Mesolithic period was one of the very important periods of the Stone Ages. There was a shift from the hunting gathering economy now towards the beginning or the experimentation in the agriculture and the domestication of plants. So this is all what we have to study in today's topic. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you so much.